Hey guys, and welcome back to Starcaster Remarks alongside Chris and James. My name is Ryan. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast at THPN. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook and also to Raycon for being our sponsor of this episode of our podcast and all of THPN. We have a win tonight, guys, and a giant bounce back game for a couple of individuals in particular with a 2-0 win over the Winnipeg Jets, who at points this weekend were number 2 in the Central, while Dallas was number 3. With the win tonight, Dallas does leap back up into the second spot in the Central Division, and we're feeling pretty good with this win tonight. How are you guys feeling this evening?
Very good. Overall, just super happy that Ottinger had a big bounce back game. 2 weeks there where he didn't look like traditional Otter, and he looked like Calgary Otter tonight. I mean, he was absolutely fantastic, shut everything down. Several huge chances that the Jets had, that the Jets' best players had, and Otter just stands tall, stones all of them, and looks super confident in doing it. And we always talk about that's when Otter's at his best, when he's uber confident, and that's what he was tonight.
I think I have a new strategy for our goaltenders. I think Otter should play every road game and Wedgwood should play every home game because that's what it was. I mean, we left home and he's instantly back. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Yeah. And Chris hit the nail on the head for me tonight. This was Otter's bounce back game. This was his origin story, getting back on the right side after really sucking it up in the last game. He was one of the big reasons why we lost that game against Calgary. But tonight, he was probably the reason why we won the game. So again, very good point, Chris. He hasn't looked himself the last couple of weeks, and he's played good enough for the Stars to get a couple of wins, except for the Calgary game and the Colorado game. But man, he was the key difference tonight, and specifically on Josh Morrissey. He just had Josh Morrissey's number tonight. I think Morrissey had like 3 like grade A plus chances, not just grade A chances, but A plus chances where it was just him and Otter just had all the mind control over him tonight.
Yeah, Morrissey finished the night with 6 shots on goal as a defenseman. He led his team. He doubled everyone else on his team, actually, not just led. So he definitely had Morrissey's number. And Morrissey had a great night. Everything went right for him except going in the net. He also had 28 minutes time on ice.
James, what did you think of Otter's action tonight?
Yeah. Otter was back to himself. I mean, he loves playing the villain. That's what we talked about all season last year. Loves playing the villain. His road record is ridiculous, and his home record is 500, as it should be, as it always is.
And that was another big thing that the Stars were able to take care of tonight is we had a very mediocre homestand, one of the biggest homestands of the season, longest for sure, going 2-2-1. And especially the 2 losses being as bad as they were when we had multi-goal leads at points in those games and blew those. I'll be honest, I was worried tonight. I really was. The one goal, it looked like they were going to be able to kind of lean back on their back foot a little bit and kind of watch this game go along. And I didn't think it was going to be enough, but they definitely showed me up tonight in their defensive play. And especially in the third period, all the block shots. I mean, I think I wrote down 4 or 5 different times when there were very, very key block shots, not just by the defenseman, but also by the forwards as well. It was a really good third period to shut it down. And one of the few opportunities we got there at the end of the period with Seguin and Marchment, oh my gosh, what a pass and what a shot. Just they took advantage of their few opportunities they had in that third period.
Yeah, and it felt like in the beginning of that period, they started to kind of get on that back foot, like you were saying, Ryan. They kind of, let's see if we can try and win a 1-goal game. And funny enough, what pushed us out of that was killing off the 5-on-3. I mean, after that point, it felt like the Stars were getting back to what made them so successful in the first 2 periods, getting the puck deep, getting the forecheck, making the Jets defenders make quick and good passes in their own zone. And they weren't able to do that. And they got back to that after the 5-on-3 in the third period, and were able to pretty much lock the game down from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I mean,
I
think the Jets had like 4 shots after that point in the game.
Yep. And I think that's a good time to segue into how elite this penalty kill is and what a masterclass they showed tonight.
So 5-on-3 penalty kills for the Dallas Stars tonight. The second one I thought was a little okay, really? Like on the second 5-on-3. The first Fox the penalty that made it 5-on-3, I was just like, okay, I can kind of see that. But still, the fact that they gave them 2 5-on-3s, very rare in the NHL nowadays. And I thought for sure, especially on the first one, that it was over a minute long. It was 1 minute and 8 seconds. But maybe the Dallas Stars curse of not being able to score 5-on-3 kind of passed itself on to Winnipeg tonight. But the Dallas Stars looked great on the penalty kill tonight. And like Razor mentioned, it definitely looked like the best penalty kill on the road in the NHL this season.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Otter bailing out the 5-on-3 either. He definitely was good, and you have to play good when you're having a 5-on-3. The defense held up. I mean, they didn't break down, but maybe one time on the first 5-on-3 that I can recall where Otter made a big save. But that's really all you can ask for on your 5-on-3. Keep the positioning. Don't let a pass get through, and give your goalie a chance to make the save and clear the puck. And they did exactly that on the extent, pretty much 2 full minutes of 5-on-3 time for Winnipeg, and it didn't look too dangerous. And that's a testament to the Dallas Stars penalty kill, and they've been doing that all year long, especially on the road.
It's also failed execution on the Winnipeg Jets part. I mean, they had 2 golden opportunities in the game to get a lead and then get back into the game, and they failed both times. I mean, even if you have one of the best penalty kills in the league, you're not going to be killing off 5-on-3s normally. I mean, it shouldn't really happen all that much. I really think that's just failed opportunity from the Jets.
Definitely failed on the Jets, but I think it's a little bit of doing what you have to do in a tight game and a tight goaltending battle like tonight was by the Stars defense too. So I'm gonna give them a little bit more credit than James is.
Right, that was going to be my question: was it more so the Stars penalty kill, or was it the lack of opportunities, I guess, by Winnipeg on the 5-on-3s? I think it's a little bit of both.
That's definitely the correct answer.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but you got to give credit to the Stars where credit is due. They took care of business when it comes to the defense tonight, and yeah, I mean, not really much to talk about with the penalty kill there, other than they just took care of business and they looked really good, which they have all season. So, another talking point I want to get into is the fact that the Stars have had their best start on the road in franchise history. Is I think what I heard. Is that what I heard?
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay. So, and that's crazy to think that they're second in the NHL when it comes to road records. I think they're 8-1-1, and there's a team that's better than that. That's crazy. That blows my mind. I wonder which team that is. Welcome the Los Angeles Kings to that conversation. But so what's the difference about this team playing on the road comparing to playing at home? Is it the fact that there's less pressure on the Stars? They're not playing in front of their home fans? Is it the fact that Otter likes to play villain, so maybe the rest of the team likes to play villain as well? Is their style better suited for the road compared to home? I mean, what's the deal here?
I feel like we try not to chase as much on the road. We play just incredibly more defensively. We play very safe. We're not giving up bad turnovers, which we did all night in the Flames game. I mean, all night long was turnovers the other way. And we go on the road and they disappear. Like that, I don't know if it's just a mindset of knowing of if you get behind in this game, you're not coming back. I mean, it's a lot harder to come back on the road than it is at home. Because at home, you can get the crowd into it and you get a little bit of energy boost from that. But like it really just, I mean, they just play completely differently. They're defensive on the road and they try to track race everyone at home.
Yeah, I think when they're on the road, they're also trying to set the tone in the first period, especially recently in the past I'd say 5 games. They really focused on getting a strong forecheck, being, like you said, James, safe defensively, and also trying to get the other team to make mistakes. And I think the other big thing is what you mentioned at the top of the show, James, is that Otter is just fantastic on the road. I mean, his entire career shows that he is way better on the road than he is at home. And that's just one player, but that's the most important player in the sport.
Give Wedgwood more home starts?
Yes,
Maybe
Honestly,
that's the
at this
solution.
point, Otter
Maybe
should
it
not
is.
sit on the road unless he's on a back-to-back, and Wedgwood should play all the home games. Not all the home games. Whenever he's playing a game, he should be playing at home.
Maybe half of the home games. A little more than half. I don't know. Maybe that would give it 50-30 for starts for Otter compared to Wedgwood, but we'll see. So this is something that the hockey guy was talking about with the Los Angeles Kings. He did a video about them. It was a really good video, and he talked about how recently they've sucked it up at home and they've done really well on the road. Now we haven't really sucked it up as home as much as the Kings have, but the thing that he talked about was the fact that they had just recently started figuring out how to play on the road at home. Does that make sense? The style of play that they do on the road, they brought it home. So is that something that we need to do for the Dallas Stars? Or maybe do the Stars need to pull it back a little bit during the first period and kind of let it figure itself out for a little bit and focus on the defensive side before they try and go? I mean, what do you think? Because the home needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I definitely think the problem at home is not setting the tone in the first period. They're letting the game come to them, and they're confident in playing any style, and that's one thing that they are good at. They can play with any kind of style team. The playoff run that they played in showed it. They played with a team that had really good depth. They played a team that played really physical, and they played a really flashy team that has high scores, and they played well against all of them. But we need to make the other team play our game, especially when it's an inferior opponent. I mean, there's no reason to play Arizona Coyotes hockey when we can just jump on them in the first period and roll all over them. So I think that's definitely something we need to bring more when we're playing at home.
And I mean, we saw some of that. I mean, like you said, the first period was exactly how we wanted to play. We got it in deep early and we cycled. And the first shift from the first line looked amazing. I mean, they got in deep, they cycled it to the front of the net, and they got their chances. That's exactly what we want to do. That doesn't give up bad turnovers the other way unless like a defenseman bobbles it on the point, which happens sometimes, but rarely, especially with now having the extra puck handling defenseman that we have just coming up through the system. It minimizes the spaces where the Stars feel weakest, which really is just the turnovers on entries and turnovers on even on both blue lines.
Lots of good points from both of y'all there. I want to get in. There was something I wanted to get into, but I forgot. So maybe I'll remember it later. But let's get into a couple of players that we need to talk about tonight. We talked about Otter a little bit, so let's move on from him. But Mason Marchment, I kind of want to give him some credit because he has been playing a lot better as of late. And I don't quite know what it is, to be honest with you. But like in the first period, he was one of the most noticeable stars out there. And I'm kind of stealing Razor's thought there for a little bit, but it was honestly something that I noticed in the first period too. He had the best chances in the first period for the Dallas Stars. And he had multiple chances in the second and third period being a setup man. The first 2-on-1 that he and Sagan had, it didn't really quite work out. The second one worked perfectly. It was a beautiful, beautiful saucer pass. And the other thing that he's not doing is he's still sort of kind of getting under the skin of opponents, but I haven't seen it as much. But he has not been taking bad penalties as much. And he's been creating power plays for the Dallas Stars as well. That was one of the graphics they showed up that he was like top 10 in these three categories when it comes to drawing penalties and taking penalties. But that's a couple of the categories were good things to be in top 10 for. So what do y'all think about Mason Marchment's play over, I don't know, the last week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah, we were seeing short periods of time where we'd see this Mason Marchment about 2 weeks ago. We would see a game where Mason Marchment looked this
Or
good,
even
or a period,
periods.
or
Yeah,
a shift
exactly.
even. It could even be one shift where he looked great. And over the past 5 games, he's definitely gotten more and more consistent with his style of play. And I think that's really what he needs to focus on. We know how good Mason Marchment can play. He needs to play that good consistently, period after period, shift after shift. He needs to find a way to make that his consistent mindset and his consistent positioning, and make sure that he's on every single shift that he's playing. And he's still not a seasoned NHL guy. He's still learning how to be an everyday NHLer. It's his second year of being a relied upon offensive weapon on a team. He came from Florida as a fourth line player who was just way
Scored
exceeded
15
his
goals
role.
on the fourth line. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he just way exceeded his role. It's his second year being a middle six forward. So he's still figuring it out. And the past 5 games, he's figured it out really well. He's been fantastic. He's really gotten more consistent.
And I really feel like the biggest thing I want him to focus on is not taking those stupid penalties, because like he plays good even when he's not like doing great. I mean, he will get back still, and he'll get in the right passing lanes and stuff, but like it's those dumb penalties that feel like it always comes back to bite us, and it's always Marchment in the box when the power play goal goes in.
Okay, I remembered my other thing, but we're talking about players right now. There's other players I want to talk about, so we'll talk about them first. But another player we need to discuss is Tyler Seguin. The guy has been rejuvenated. We need to come up with we still need to come up with a name for a renaissance for Seguin, because he has, especially the last 6 games, has looked excellent. And alongside Seguin and Marchment, or excuse me, Duchesne and Marchment, he has really played a lot better. And that goal tonight, he's got 5 goals in his last 6 games. So just the guy is doing absolutely excellent. And it really helps that he's producing offensively for the Stars right now.
Yeah, that whole line has been fantastic ever since Duchesne returned from his injury. And Seguin is really capitalizing on, he's still got the goal scorer's hands, and he's finding ways to get himself into the right positions without having to need his speed. So he's reading the play a lot better. It's coming to him slower, and he's getting in position before he needs to try and turn on the wheels, which he doesn't have anymore. So I feel like he's definitely figuring out how to be a goal scorer without being a speedster.
Yeah. It's figuring out how to create space without speed. That's really what I think it is.
Or being in the right place at the right time, which, speaking of being at the right place at the right time, I wonder if he's learning some pointers from Joe Pavelski. Because, again, a guy who's 39 years old, he's leading the Stars in scoring. He has 20 points in 20 games, 10 assists, 10 goals. He has a goal tonight. I mean, you can't. He really is like the pseudo secondary captain for this team right now behind Jamie Benn. Like he does every single thing right. He does everything right except for the speed. That's the only thing it seems like he doesn't get. He scores. He's always in the right place at the right time. He makes beautiful passes. His defense is impeccable in his own zone. I can't say more about Joe Pavelski right now.
Yeah, Ben is definitely like the muscle of this team, but Pavelski is for sure the heart of the team. And when we saw that when he got injured in the beginning of the playoffs last year, I think if you ask Pavelski how he's always in the right position, he'll just tell you he just goes in front of the net every time, which isn't a bad place to be most of the time, because it works out for him very well with the deflections, with his quick hands in tight, which we see tonight. And yeah, is he leading us in points now? I know he's leading us in goals.
Yes.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's both.
as
20
a
points in 20
39-year-old. So
he's a point per game player. Point per game player at 39 years old.
He's fantastic.
He's
Also,
on pace
this
to
is
break his career high again.
He's on pace to break his career high.
Oh.
39-year-old. He's also he played another 10 games, so he's also earned another $1 million on his contract.
Oh, great! Like we never saw that coming. So, I love the guy. He's probably my favorite player right now, and that's crazy considering all the players this team has that you could absolutely adore and love. And right now, it's Joe Pavelski for me. This is something I wanted to talk about as well, player-wise. Let's talk about the defensive pairings for a little bit. I didn't think they were all that bad tonight. The one thing that Chris disagrees with me, I already saw his face, but the one thing that I did see in the comment section over here, I forgot who said it. If you said it, speak up. I don't know, but we've seen since Harley has come back from injury, we've seen that pairing of Esa Lindell and Yanni Hakanpää kind of stay together. I don't like it. It hasn't worked all that great. Excuse me. Especially in the Calgary game. Seemed to do okay tonight, but it really seems to kind of decrease the effectiveness of Thomas Harley, which I feel like should be in the top 4 instead of Yanni Hakanpää. So I'm not looking at the time on ice when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
But what do y'all think of those pairings, or maybe just your thoughts overall on the defense?
Most of the time, I would disagree with you. For tonight, it made perfect sense because of the way the game went. I mean,
Penalty kill.
it was penalty kill. I mean, both Lindell and Hakanpää played 5 minutes on the penalty kill. They both played the whole thing.
Right, and that's not what I'm knocking. That pairing should absolutely be the top pairing when it comes to penalty kill. They showed they were excellent in that last season. But the thing is they're neither one of them are really puck moving defensemen. Now it's not really hurting us too much where we're really doing bad and our record is suffering because of it. But I don't know.
And I really feel like you're going to see that flip around based off of the opponents we're going to play against too. I mean, when you're getting teams who are just dumping it and trying to hit you and trying to wear you down, I feel like you're going to see Hakanpää, Lindell put together, and you're going to see Lundqvist and Harley played a whole lot less because you really want to save those dudes' energy for other games. I mean, that's not where those players are going to be effective.
Yeah, but the problem is that, and someone pointed it out again over in the chat, is you're relying heavily on Miro Heiskanen to do a little bit more, which he can do. He can play 26 to 28 minutes a night, but do you want him to be a little bit more energetic for the playoffs? And I know it seems crazy to talk about that now, but it does have some sort of effect in April, I would think.
I'm kind of getting away from coming a little bit, Ryan. Sorry. I just don't like the pairing of Hakanpää, Lindell. You talk about how it kind of hurts Harley. I think it hurts Hakanpää and Lindell more than it hurts Harley, honestly. I mean, those guys are really good defensemen. They prove it on the penalty kill. Defensively, they are 100% very good. 100% a second or a third and fourth pair. That's no doubt. But when they're in a 5-on-5 setting, playing against a team that is dumping it in, chasing after you, they can't get the puck out of their own zone. They are terrible at it. We won a clean faceoff draw, and Lindell shot it right at the linesman to keep it in onto the 5-on-3. I mean, and that's obviously that's a little bit fluky, but stuff like that is exactly what I'm talking about. Their hands are just not as good as Harley and Lundqvist are. So when you split them up and you give them a guy to dump it off to and say, here, you get it out, it helps them be better too. It helps everybody be better, not just Harley. It helps Hakanpää and Lindell too. Tonight, like James said, I understand it because of how much they're playing on the penalty kill. That's 100% going to remain the same, and it should. They're fantastic. They're elite. They are probably the main reason we have the best penalty kill in the league. But once it's 5-on-5, throw it in the trash, throw it in the dumpster, throw it out the window. We're not doing that on 5-on-5. Is what it should be.
That's a very, very good point. I agree with everything you just said, Chris. This is something that people are also talking about in the chat, which I don't really know if I fully agree with it, but I did get onto him last game, and I was very frustrated with the fact that he was a -4. But Miro Heiskanen. So I did the podcast on Friday night after I got back, and I really hampered Otter in particular, and a little bit on Miro Heiskanen because he was a -4 in that game against Calgary. I went back and I watched the press conference. He was one of our best players on the ice. So, what did I go out for a second?
Yeah, you're back though.
Yeah, you did, but the people who are watching it later are happy. But yeah, I kind of agree with the Miro statement. I saw where you were going with it. He wasn't great the other night, and I can see how people might think he's a step slow. His defensive play, I don't think is. Defensively, I think he is 100% okay, especially tonight. He looked fantastic. And it's partially due to Suter has started playing not as good the past 5 games. He's gotten a lot worse, turned the puck over a lot more, not been as good in the offensive zone. And I think there's an argument to be made, okay, don't play him with Suter. I tend to agree with that. But I don't think it's Heiskanen is just tired because he did this last season. He's shown he can do this. If we know Heiskanen is tired, I'm confident that the coaching staff will figure out a way to get him some more rest.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think he's playing less minutes than he was last year even. I mean, he does have less time on ice. It's slightly down.
Well, anything else y'all can think of? I think we've pretty much hit everything. Is there anything y'all can think about?
Nothing for tonight's game, but something to talk about on Sunday. Liam Bixel from the Texas
Oh yeah,
Stars.
yeah. They're.
I'm
I mean,
going to
there's
say it, but we're going to talk about it on Sunday. He takes his option to go play in Europe instead of staying in Austin, all but guaranteeing we're not going to see him this year. Wild.
That's a little crazy.
We'll talk about it later.
I'm telling you, Chris, there is so much stuff just NHL wise that is going on right now. It's insane.
The past 24 hours have been crazy.
Well, it's not just the past 24 hours. It's like the past 3 or 4 days. The whole Corey Perry situation, like what the heck's going on there? Yeah, if you've been on X enough, you've seen what's been going on. I don't think that's true, but I'm not going to tell you if you don't know. Just go look it up.
I just love that the whole hockey world is like, we're just going to start a rumor. Everybody knows this is unbased and untrue, and we're just going to say it anyway.
Apparently, it was that the rumor was started by an account called Hockey Insider with 2 R's at the end of it.
Nice. Yes. Good. Good job, NHL.
Man.
Biggest winners, biggest losers. Let's save it for Sunday.
Yeah, anyways, let's save it. Oh, and Patrick Kane signed. We'll talk about that too. Anyways, yeah, biggest winner, biggest loser tonight. Who's y'all's picks?
Biggest winner. I'm going to round out how I started the show. Jake Ottinger. Unbelievable night tonight. I mean, 27 saves on 27 shots. Huge stuff on the penalty kill, especially. He was fantastic when you need to be when you're on 5-on-3s. He was great. He was perfect. Maybe his best game of the year so far.
James?
My biggest winner, I'm giving it to the Hawk and Paul Lindell pairing on the penalty kill.
Very specific.
Saved it, Chris. I saved it.
I was getting scared.
There's a couple people I want to give it to. Obviously, Otter is the biggest one because he showed me up tonight. He told me to shut up, and I'm shutting it up tonight. So he gets the shutout tonight. I really like how Smith played tonight too. He was really noticeable. He had a post, and that's coming off of where he missed a couple of games due to illness. But I'm gonna give it to Mason Marchment because I don't know how many times we're gonna be able to do that for Mason Marchment, and so I'll give him my biggest winner tonight. Who's your biggest loser?
Biggest loser is the officials. Somehow, the Jets get 4 power plays, 2 of them 5-on-3s. The Stars get one power play due to a Jets penalty. The other one was due to a challenge. There was plenty of chances to call penalties on the Jets. And boy, that was rough.
James, who's your biggest loser?
My biggest loser is Radek Faksa. 2 penalties on the penalty kill. First one was obvious. The second one was but it was still
stupid.
You could still call it a penalty though. I mean,
you could call it. You should never call it when it's 5-on-4 though.
I tend to agree, but they're still both penalties, and you can't do that. Normally, we don't see that from him, and it'll probably not happen again. But he still gets the biggest loser for it.
Fair enough.
I kind of have a double biggest loser tonight, and one didn't even play in the game is Delandria. I really feel for him. Like he's worked so freaking hard to try and stay in the lineup, and he just can't. Yeah, he'll be back. He will, but like he doesn't get a regular. He's not a regular in the Stars lineup, which sucks for him.
Which is crazy because Smith plays 10 minutes a night.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Like, I understand, but like at some point,
like dang. I will also give my biggest loser though to Josh Morrissey. He had all the chances in the game tonight for the Winnipeg Jets, 3 in particular, and didn't bury any of them. So he's my biggest loser tonight. Yep. Okay. We got a lot to talk about on Sunday. We're gonna save it for Sunday. Sunday might be a little bit of a long episode. We'll see. Anything else, guys? Nope. Okay. Well, please go and check out StarcasticRemarks.com for all the latest information on our podcast. There's been up to 16 people listening live. We thank y'all. And there's multiple other people who are listening to the podcast much later at a regular hour. We appreciate y'all as well. Please go and check out StarcasticRemarksShop.com, our merch store. That's the best way to support our podcast and what we do here. And thanks again to DraftKings Sportsbook and Raycon for being our sponsors. Along with Chris, Along with James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. We'll see you on the next one. Chris, take us out.
Mike Elko will lead us to the promised land. Gig 'em and GG boys.
Whatever.